Hey, Mark, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Doesn't look like we have any one in the chat yet, so that's okay. This will get recorded and be on the website. If you do see someone come in, let me know and I can kind of give them the instructions for entering their chat name if they come in late. So go ahead and get started then. Okay, thank you everyone for coming. This is the open house for the Ballinger Maintenance Facility Project. Excuse me, move to the next slide. Ballinger Maintenance Facility Project. My name is Zachary Evans, and I am the project manager for the City of Shoreline for this project. With me today is Mark Hurley. He is the consultant for this project. He works for TCF Architecture and is the lead architect. For this project and the larger city maintenance facility project, has done a lot of really good work for us so far and will continue to do so. He's going to be in the background kind of taking questions if anything comes up, and will also help me answer questions if need be. So moving on and getting started, the Ballinger Maintenance Facility is part of the larger city maintenance facility project that has 4 different sites making it up. Currently, there is the Hamlin Yard Maintenance Facility. Oh, excuse me, let me turn on my pointer. Should be able to see that now. The Hamlin Yard Maintenance Facility existing right there, the North Maintenance Facility up off Ballinger Way, and the Ronald Wastewater District property out in this part of the city. We have added or are adding the Ballinger Maintenance Facility up here, which was formerly referred to as the Brightwater Portal property. Originally, the hope was that the city would be able to build one large maintenance facility at the North Maintenance Facility location. We found out later that the soils were not conducive to such a large site, and the city decided to pursue a distributed maintenance facility project that we are currently working on now, consisting of rebuilding the Hamlin Yard property, rebuilding North Maintenance Facility on a smaller footprint to allow some opening of an existing stream and a little extra park space. Ronald Wastewater property, which is now fully assumed by the city, will combine some of our surface water maintenance with the wastewater maintenance at that site. And then finally, the project we're here talking about today is the Ballinger Maintenance Facility, formerly referred to as Brightwater Portal. Quick review of the timeline. In 2013, as I mentioned before, the city purchased the North Maintenance Facility site. 2015, design really got started in earnest. Site investigations exposed the soils that were a problem and made us rethink our strategy as a city. After some extensive work into different strategies, in 2017, council decided and set us on a course to do that distributed facility study. And then after a lot of work and a lot of different scenarios, in 2019, the city council accepted scenario A and allowed us to move forward with phase 1 of the improvements, which we are on currently right now. So phase 1 is the North Maintenance Facility Early Works project, the Ballinger Maintenance Facility Design and Construction, which we're talking about today, and then schematic design for the Hamlin and NMF final sites. Future phases, will include temporary facilities at NMF and Hamlin Yard Design Construction and NMF Design and Final Construction. In addition, there'll be some right-of-way improvements associated with those projects as well. Here's a quick couple pictures of the NMF Early Works work that was done in 2019 and 2020. There are some modular office buildings and some containers with a roof over them. These are currently housing our grounds maintenance crew, which was added recently. In the future, during that Hamlin Yard construction phase, we will add more of these types of units to the site so that we can take all of our city's operations and run them out of this site while Hamlin is under construction, just as an FYI. And then this slide shows preliminary design plans for Hamlin Yard and NMF. Down the bottom is Hamlin Yard. It's hard to see on this site, but we're more or less staying within the existing footprint of the site. And then NMF over here, here is the park space and stream daylighting area that will be added. And then facility will be moved back towards the back half of the site, or utilizing that back half of the site. There's lots more detail about that on the city maintenance facility website if you want to go and look for that there, and we have a link at the end of this presentation for that. Okay, I want to talk quickly about steep slopes. There is a steep slope at the back edge of the Ballinger property. According to city code, this is categorized as a very high-risk landscape hazard because it is over 20 feet high and it has a grade of over 40% average. Like I said, the top of that slope is about parallel with the back edge of our property line. And this image from our city GIS website shows in red the extents of that steep slope, and in pink is a 50-foot buffer from that steep slope. So if you got an invitation to this meeting, a written letter, you probably are within that 50-foot buffer. That is also the trigger for this meeting per city code. Requires that we hold an open house for any resident impacted or that could be impacted by any potential changes to a high-risk landscape hazard such as this. Now, normally buffers require steep slopes require a 50-foot buffer, but those can be reduced to 15 feet if a geotechnical investigation can show that the proposed work will not impact the slope in any way. And we did that. We hired geotechnical engineers, Terracon consultants, and they conducted a report in August of 2020 that concluded that the 15-foot buffer is sufficient. And that will also be linked on our website if you have any reason to go look in detail at how that study was conducted. This is a site plan, and I just wanted to quickly highlight the buffer area. So this back green area along the back property line has our 15-foot buffer between the first building and the back of the property line, and we're also planting some landscaping back in that area. Okay, here's an aerial image of the existing site. The site is outlined in red right here, Ballinger Way Northeast along here, and this street right here is 19th Avenue Northeast. To get you situated, the existing site is mostly gravel and asphalt parking. It is currently being rented out by USPS, and if you drive by there, you may see some USPS vehicles parked there overnight. The front half is not our property, but in front of our site between the street and our property is the wastewater portal by King County. So that's access to their underground pipe down there for the wastewater facilities. So we have an easement access through that site to get to our site. This is a really good 3D image that our consultant, TCF, has created for us. Just to orient you, Ballinger Way is out here in the street with the King County portal right here. Vehicles will enter in through the gate at this part of the site, drive through the site, do their operations, and exit out here and back to the street. And so this site, the primary purposes of it are vehicle fueling and washing. So there's a vehicle wash bay and fueling with the fuel tanks. Snow and ice operations, and decant. This canopy back along the edge, we're referring to as Building C, has decant bays and salt storage. So there will be lots of salt in this bay, and there's some de-icer equipment that will go here so that vehicles can come in, load up with ice, and go out and do their snow and ice operations. The decant bays, for those that don't know what decanting is, which is a kind of technical term, is basically taking waste spoils that are kind of wet, putting them in a bay, letting all the liquid drain off, and then and then letting that lighter and drier material be scooped up, put in dumpsters, and taken off to appropriate disposal sites. So these bays have wastewater collection points here. They will go through a special wastewater treatment facility before they enter into the normal sanitary sewer pipe out in the street. And finally, the single-story building right here has a little bit of extra storage and will also serve as a break room and has a small cubicle for maintenance workers to come in and do a little bit of paperwork, use the restroom, electric room, things like that. Okay, this is a site plan of the same 3D image you saw. Not too much to add to this. Building A, as we mentioned right here, with the vehicle wash, utility room, storage room, break room, restroom. Be it building B right here with the fueling canopy and the fuel tanks, and then building C in the back with the decant and the salt storage. Things that aren't shown on here underground is your underground surface water detention vault. We need that to detain runoff that hits the site, rainwater, slow it down before we slowly release it to the piped infrastructure, which really helps with stream health and stream quality. There's also some underground utilities coming through this easement for sewer and water and power. I think that is all we have for that. And so we're just talking about the last couple of things I want to mention are going to be impacts that you may feel if you live nearby. So first with construction impacts. Big things are going to be noise, dust, and traffic. Noise, our city noise ordinance do allow construction to go from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. However, that's pretty unlikely. Public works projects like this tend to work 5/8 or four 10-hour days per week and pretty consistently during your normal work hours. So you'll hear construction equipment, excavators, dump trucks, the backing up noise from construction equipment, things like that. Dust is always an issue with construction. Our contract will require them to water down open soils and stockpiles and to get those paved as soon as possible. City will monitor that during construction and step in and stay on top of them to keep that watered and keep dust down as much as possible. And then traffic is all in and out on Ballinger Way, which is a pretty big arterial. So there shouldn't be too much of an impact from traffic other than you'll see some larger vehicles coming into and out of the site with a 5-lane road with the turn lane. Shouldn't be too many impacts. We may need to close down 1 lane to do some driveway and curb utility replacement out in the street, but that should be pretty limited impact and pretty short, week or 2 at a time. Okay, ongoing impacts. So once we have a full operational facility, these are the things you'll have to be mindful of going out in the future. So traffic on Ballinger Way, again, it's not going to be a big change because it's a big arterial, but you will see more dump trucks, vacuum trucks, plows, mowers, etc., coming into and out of the site. And then city vehicles will come by to fuel and wash their vehicle. Police also use the fueling, so they may come in at any time during the day when they're out on their shifts to fuel their vehicles and go on with their patrols. Noise, mostly just truck noise during business hours, 7 to 5 p.m., loud beeping, dumping things up and down. We are hoping that the big, I'll show the picture really quick. We're kind of hoping this big cement block and plywood wall right here at the back edge of the site will contain a lot of the noise, so we shouldn't be too much noise back to the neighborhoods back here, but it still could be a problem. Excuse me, coming back. Oh, and 24/7 impacts during snow and ice events. We will be operating our snow and ice out of the site, so if there is snow event, or just ice that the crews need to get out and ice and plow the road, they will do that. Could be very late or very early in the morning, so that'll be going on. And then lighting, lights are fairly bright. You'll probably notice them during work hours during the winter when it starts getting a little bit darker, and then there will be a base lower level of lighting for anti-theft protection even at night. And then finally, some people might be concerned about odor from the decant facilities. That is possible. We don't expect a ton of that sort of smell coming from that because we don't have a lot of wastewater spoils, and that and also the street sweeping and the leaf sweeping tends to get moved in and out of the site pretty quickly. So we're not expecting a lot of smell. If once we get into operations and if you're having problems and you live nearby, please let us know. There are things we can do, but it's the O&M department will need to balance the cost versus what they can do. So we will definitely look at it, and please talk to us, let us know. Okay, finally, schedule. So rough schedule, we're in design right now and permitting. We're about to submit permits as soon as this meeting and Q&A session is over. We'll submit those this week. And we're hoping to start construction pretty quick, as soon as possible, probably April of next year. And construction will be 8 to 10 months long. So we should be finishing up right around the end of December 2022. At the bottom here, we have website links. You can see we have a city maintenance facility project.
Well, it looks like Zach has dropped off the line. If there's anyone on has any questions, go ahead and put it in the Q&A box. If not, we'll probably put an end to this meeting. Okay, it looks like there aren't any questions. Again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to Zach. His contact information should be on the city website and at the end of this presentation. Thanks, everyone.